Welcome back to my channel. Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here today. In today's video, we're going to talk about money and budgeting for your move to Korea. I'm going to share my personal experience and show you the exact process that I followed to prepare my budget. If you are someone who's moving to Korea without a job lined up, if you're moving here to learn Korean, if you're moving here with a work and holiday visa and you're hoping that within a year you're going to find a job, then this video would be very helpful to you. Before I start talking about money and strategies, I think it's important we start talking about mindset first. That's very important because in order for you to stay disciplined and committed, your head needs to be in the right place. So here's a quick recap of my journey. 2017, YOLO was the concept. You only live once. At that time, I had a good job, I had a nice place, I had friends, I have a social life. I also had lots of credit card debt, right? I was just doing things the way I saw fit. I was in what I thought was a relationship when the guy could care less. Fast forward end of 2017 when I turned 30 years old. So I was in Paris celebrating my birthday. Then I went back home for my brother's wedding. And it might sound cliche, but I had an epiphany. I was wondering, what is it that I'm doing with my life, quite honestly? And I started having dreams again. And here came 2018. In retrospect, I call it the year of growth because in 2018, I dumped the guy at the beginning of the year. I started journaling. I started getting closer to God. I took personal development extremely seriously. So I identified all the things about myself I didn't like and wanted to improve. And I started reading books about it and doing all the work. And it has been a journey that I'm still on, but so beneficial. The second thing that was also very important was money. You see, when you have dreams and you don't have the funds to fund those dreams, then you're pretty much hopeless. And I wanted to avoid that. So I had all those dreams in 2017, and I realized that in 2018, I had to be debt-free in order to give myself wings to fly. Beginning of 2019, I am credit card debt free. I still have my student loans, but that's a different story, different beast, but it's not that much anymore, so that's a good thing. And I start, dreaming about Korea, and I decide to take this dream very seriously, and that's when I start planning for my trip. So if you count the year I spent getting rid of my debt, it took me about 2 years and 6 months to budget for Korea, prepare for Korea, and move to Korea. Okay, let's get down to business. I am going to have my cell phone with me just for my notes, so please don't mind it. We're going to talk about the budget. So the first step you need to figure out is what it is that you're going to do in Korea and for how long. And if you want to know more about this, I made a video. Feel free to watch it and then come back. That will give you a better sense of your purpose, because without a purpose, you cannot plan, right? The second thing is when you do a budget, it's a tentative budget. You have no idea whether or not that's exactly how things are going to work out. But at least, again, we are trying to do estimates here. So in my personal situation, these were the assumptions that I had. Assumption number one, I wanted to study Korean for 6 months. I believed that within 6 months, I would be able to have a good command of the language and that I would be able to find a job. So all my projections were basically for 6 months. Okay. Also, what I did is I assumed that I was not going to have a job in Korea. So I needed to have enough money to sustain myself during those 6 months. So here's what I determined, what I included in my budget. So I had school, I had to choose which school to go to, why this school instead of another one, and how much the tuition would be. Health insurance, very important, right? Accommodation, the type, the cost, where, food, transportation, entertainment, shopping, miscellaneous, and student loans. Let's go over each item one by one. Let's start with university. I selected Sogang University for its great reputation and focus on speaking. In terms of pricing, most of them offer the same price, offer the same type of program, so it's completely up to you. At Sogang in fall, I paid 1,850,000 Korean won, and for winter, 1,750,000 Korean won. The great thing is insurance is included. Health insurance is included. Number 2, accommodation. I wanted a place that was hassle-free, close to school, no contract, no high deposit, and some sense of privacy. I knew Goshiwon would be the best option, and I found the best Goshiwon. I made a video about it that I'm going to link up, so feel free to go there. For the rent, it was 550,000 Korean won. Let's go over food. So food was a bit tricky. I just assumed I would eat out in small restaurants and moms and pops shop. So for that, I allocated 20,000 Korean won per day. Transportation, I wanted to be closer to school. That way I won't have to take the train so much. But I did some research, and one ride is 1,300 to 1,500 Korean won per trip. So I allocated 30,000 Korean won per month for transportation. Entertainment and shopping is pretty hard to predict, but you know you're gonna go out and have some fun with friends. You know you're gonna go shopping, so you want to prepare for that. My budget was 100,000 Korean won for entertainment, 100,000 Korean won for shopping, and also for miscellaneous that you can't predict, I also allocated 100,000 won for that. Last but not least, my student loans, so $225 per month that I had to send, and then for my cell phone is $45 a month that I had to allocate. My budget for 6 months in Korea, so the initial cost, the school, 3,640,000 Korean won, which is $3,245. My recurring monthly, so for the 6 months in Korea, my living expenses, 5,840,000 Korean won, which is $5,205. And then the bills back home, $1,620 for 6 months for my student loans and my cell phone. Total, $10,070. So that's just for Korea. Before that, you have some pre-expenses that you have. Buy your flight ticket, pay for your visa, purchase items that you know you're not going to find in Korea easily, etc. So you have to take that into account as well. Welcome to step 2. Step 2 is get rid of your debt. I highly recommend you do that. So now that you know what your budget is going to be like and how much money you need to look at your current debt. If you have lots of credit card debt, it doesn't really make sense for you to save that much money for a trip when you have this debt just piling on. I advise that you take care of it first. That's what I did in 2018. I had $10,000 worth of credit card debt that I had to get rid of. I did it. It took me long, but at least now I have peace of mind. As you can see in my budget, I did not have to send money to pay off my credit cards because they were already taken care of. And just so I can make it very clear for you to understand how important that is, just imagine the fact that you moving to Korea would mean you quitting your job. So you are not going to have any money coming in. So do you want to be in a situation where you are in a foreign country, you don't have any money coming in, and you have lots of credit card debt waiting for you at home? I don't think that's an ideal scenario. All right, on to the fun step, which is get the money. So there are 2 ways you can gather the money for Korea. But before we go over that, let's talk about where you are going to store that money. Because most likely it'll take you about a year to 2 years for you to gather everything. So you need that money in a saving account. Saving accounts these days don't give you much interest, but it's best and it's sitting in your checking account where it doesn't generate anything and where you can easily use the money. So find a bank online that offers, the best rate that you can find and put your money there. That way it'll be not that easily accessible and you can watch it grow. So I personally use a live bank. When I started back in 2019, the interest was around 2%. Now it's I think 0.86 or something. I'm not too sure. It keeps on going down, but that's because of the economy at the moment. But yeah, basically find an online bank, put the money there every month and see it grow. Okay, so now that we know where to store it, let's talk about 2 ways to gather the money. Number 1 is to cut your expenses. This is going to be hard. I'm not going to lie to you. This is a hard process. You're going to have to stay disciplined. But if moving to Korea is your dream, I have no doubt in my mind that you will find it in yourself to make all the necessary sacrifices. Just look at those expenses that are frivolous, right? And try to cut them as much as you can. I personally, like I mentioned, spent 2018 getting rid of my debt, and that right off the bat has taught me so many valuable lessons and good habits that in 2019, instead of gathering that money and giving it away to credit card company, I was putting it into my bank account. So it made the saving process for Korea easier because of my previous experience with being careful with money. So these are some concrete things that you can do today that are going to help you. Number one, if you go to work and you buy your lunch, stop doing that. Now we're all working from home because of the pandemic, but just in case we all go back to work, I would highly advise that you cook everything at home. Bring your breakfast, bring your lunch, that's what I did, and cook at home. Don't order anything. That way you will save massive amount of money. Number two, go to a thrift store and do your shopping there. You would be amazed at the quality of the items that you can find and the prices that are just completely mind-boggling. My sister-in-law introduced me to thrift shopping and I've loved it ever since. Even in Korea, I continue to do that and find just amazing pieces. Another advice that I can give you guys is to audit your life. You have to look at your current situation. What are you doing with your finances? How does everything look like? So you kind of need to work on your current budget in your current home in order to see how much money you can extract out of it. So I wrote an article on that I would put down below in the description box. Feel free to go there, check it out. It'll just teach you some concrete steps that you can do for budgeting and also help you change your mindset around it. I highly recommend it. Let's be honest, cutting expenses is frustrating, but it is also very limiting. Sometimes we forget that money is abundant. Money is around us. We just have to find a way to make it. And one of it could be finding a side hustle. So if you have a skill that you can monetize, I would highly recommend that you start looking into it. What I did is I speak French fluently, so I started offering French classes and tutoring services to people. That was my way of making extra money in 2019, in 2020 as well. And that's also something that I did when I was in college that was, very helpful. So in 2019, as I was cutting my cost, I realized that, man, it's gonna take me forever. What can I do to make this process go faster? And I remember, why don't you go back to teaching tutoring French? And that's exactly what I did. So look into your personal life and look at the skills, things that people usually compliment you on, things that you can monetize, and try to find a way to side hustle. Another place where you can make more money and people sometimes forget is at your job. Duh. So if you were to work smarter, if you were to work better, if you were to play your cards right, you can definitely get a promotion. That's what I did. I focused on that on 2019, and mid-2019 I actually got a promotion. And guess what? That accelerated my saving because I started earning way more money, and instead of spending that money, I took it and put it into my bank account. So here's a quick recap of what I was able to achieve from January 2019 to mid-2020. And that's a combination of cutting cost and also making money on the side. Of course, this isn't the money that I had in my bank account the day I left for Korea. This is a combination of everything that I was able to put aside based on discipline. It is doable. It takes commitment, it takes time, it takes vision, and it takes you to do it. But if I can do it, so can you. With the pandemic happening so close to my departure for Korea, something that I did not even envision happened to me, I was lucky enough to keep my job. So my intention, I basically quit. And then they told me, well, you don't have to. Why don't you just work remotely part-time? And I said, oh my God, yes, of course, I will do that. So that has given me more time to make it in Korea and also has allowed me a more comfortable lifestyle. So that's something I absolutely did not plan on, that just happened to me. And that is definitely a blessing that I received. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found it helpful. Please feel free to share it with other people, like, subscribe, comment, whatever it is that you want to do. Feel free to do so, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.